Hello, today I'm going to give you a first look at the new improved second version of Lian's SL120 unifans. They're available from today in black and white in 120 and 140mm size and as a triple or single pack of the fans. So taking a look at the new second version, comparing it to the original version of the SL120 unifans, on first impressions you might actually think there's not actually that much new. You're almost certainly going to notice the new white anti-vibration pads, which I do think looks much cleaner than the grey on the older version, but actually there's absolutely loads of changes in the new version. Turning the fans around, you'll notice what I think is the biggest improvement. We've now got a silver medallion in the middle of the rear side of the fan, which looks so much better than the sticker. And if you look at the wire here in the old fan, there's only a tiny little bit of it visible here. So if you're going to have these fans set to intake in your case, it's going to look so much cleaner. And that always was one of the downsides of the old fan. And people used to ask me, why did I mix SL120 and AL120 unifans in my build? And the reason was the back of these fans looked absolutely awful. And anywhere I wanted to have a fan set to intake, I would use the AL120s because the back of these fans looked actually quite good. Now the back of the new second version looks pretty good, so we're not going to have that issue anymore. Taking a closer look at the new version, you'll see that it's slightly thicker at 28mm compared to 25mm with the older version. And Lian have used this increased thickness to improve the performance, and the fans now offer 10% improved airflow. We have also had a slight increase in static pressure, and the maximum noise of the fans has also reduced. This is particularly impressive given that the maximum speed of the fans has increased from 1900 to 2000 RPM. And also the minimum speed that the fans can run at has been reduced down to 250 RPM from 800. Also using Lian's L-Connect software, you can set the fans to come to a complete stop under certain conditions. Lian have also improved the aesthetics of the fans with a straighter, smoother finish on the side lighting for smoother lines. And they've also reduced the gap in the lighting between connected fans from 5.6 all the way down to 3mm, giving you a smoother, more continuous effect between the fans. So one problem I had with the older version of the fans was compatibility on the case, and particularly when mounting to radiators, because where two standard 120mm fans would fit, quite often you struggle to fit two Lian unifans. One, because you had this connector on one end which increased the thickness, and then the other problem was on this other end you had these little pins where you connected onto another fan that actually stuck out. And in fact you can see here I've had to modify one of my older SL120 unifans by cutting one of these little connectors off to get it fitted on a radiator in a previous build project. This should be a problem of the past with the new version of the fans. On the end that you're not connecting any additional fans to, the connectors simply turn clockwise and then can be removed. Same thing at the other end. And you can see now we've got a completely flat surface on the other side of this fan. So we go ahead and plug the cable in. You'll notice that the connectors is actually recessed into the fan itself. The other thing we've got is a lovely flat cable. So when we actually push this down, it's actually not going to take up very much space at the end of the fans. Another advantage is we've now only got one cable coming from each group of fans to plug into our fan hub. It's white to match the colour of the fans, and it's a nice flat cable. So comparing the new cable for the second version with the cable that came with the original fans, you'll notice that the original one was black even if you got the white fans. So if you're going with an all white build, I could definitely see this cable being useful. If you use the white fans in a black and white theme build, actually the black cables would probably work better. So it's just one thing to be aware of. In terms of length, you'll notice that the new cables are slightly shorter than the older ones, but that's not a big problem, because we now have the option to daisy chain two groups of Lian unifans together, which can be really useful if you've got a set of fans that are quite a far distance away from the hub. Rather than trying to run the cable all the way to the hub, you can simply link the two groups together. And the hub does support linking two groups of 3 fans together and plugging the 6 fans into one port on the hub. You will still be limited to a maximum of 16 fans to the hub, so you're not going to be able to plug 2 groups of 3 fans into each connector. So in the triple fan pack you get 2 of these connecting cables. You're going to need to remove the little pegs on the side of the fan that you're not connecting up to, and then all you're going to do is pop this on at the side and push it into place. We've got exactly the same connector that we've used before to go onto the other side of the fans, so it simply pushes into place. There we go. And then you're going to be able to control all 6 of these fans using this cable over here plugged into one port on the controller. The unifans themselves simply connect up exactly the same way as the old Lian Li unifans. You simply just need to line them up and push them in together, and then you can have up to 4 fans connected in a group. So what I want to do now is talk you through how to connect up the fans to the new version of the controller. So coming from the bottom of the controller, we've got 2 SATA cables, and we're going to need to plug both of these into a SATA cable coming from our power supply. We've got a wire that goes into the middle port on the bottom of the controller, and on the other end of it, we've got a USB cable, which we're going to plug into a USB 2.0 header on our motherboard. The last cable we're going to need to connect the hub up to your motherboard goes into this little port here, just pushes into place. And you'll notice it's a double cable. We've got a 4-pin PWM connector, which we're going to plug into a system fan header, and we've got a 3-pin 5-volt ARGB connector, and we're going to plug that into an ARGB header on our motherboard. Then taking a look at our controller, we've got 4 channels labeled 1, 2, 3 and 4, and if we turn it around sideways, we're just simply going to plug the cable coming from each group of Lian Li unifans into a port on the controller. If you pick up a single version of the Lian Li unifans, you're obviously not going to get the fan hub, but it does come with everything you're going to need to be able to connect the fan up and control the fan speed and the lighting via your motherboard. So you've got this double splitter cable, we've got a PWM connector on one hand, and we've got a Lian Li RGB connector on the other. So all we're going to do is plug the cable into the fan connector, and the 4-pin PWM connector we're going to plug into a system fan header on our motherboard. The other ARGB connector, depending on your setup, you may be able to plug this directly into somewhere to control the ARGB. If not, Lian Li include this little adapter, which simply pushes into place. And this gives you a standard 3-pin 5-volt ARGB connector, and that's going to simply plug into an ARGB header on your motherboard. So I'm really pleased with all the changes Lian Li have made with the second version of their SL unifans. They've made them better in every single way, and I think my favourite change is the medallions on the back of the fans. So the fans are going to look equally good from the back as what they do from the front. So you'll be seeing these fans in one of my builds in the near future.